Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our latest live video. As you can see, I'm delighted to say I'm here with Simon this week, and we're going to talk about using video in your sales process, which has obviously become a bigger and bigger thing for most of us, I'm sure, in the last 12 months, and I think we suspect will continue to do so in the future. So with today, obviously, we're live on the various social media platforms. If you do have any questions or any comments for us as we go along, feel free to put them in the comment boxes. We'll try and cover as many of those as we can. Always happy to hear those questions. If you are watching this, I know a lot of people do watch kind of on demand after the live event. Again, feel free to send us any questions, and I'll kind of pass them on to Simon. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer them in any way it can. So we're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at the moment. So various different places. So thank you for joining us. So Simon, before I move on, do you want to kind of just quickly introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Pleasure to be here. Our business is Sandler Training. We specialize in sales and sales leadership, performance, and really companies who are open-minded and they want to grow both their people who grow the revenue and the sales. And I think often when they come to us, particularly in the current climate, they're telling us things around, that they're struggling to get in front of enough of the right new target opportunities. That environment has got very crowded, very noisy. Or for others, that there's, perhaps them or their team are doing a lot of quotes and proposals and all the things they didn't go into business to do for people who don't buy. Or others, around they just don't feel like they're closing the number of sales they believe they should be. And they invite us in to have a look at really a diagnosis of what's going on, but then we partner with them long term. We don't have a magic wand. We can't fix things overnight, so we tend to partner with them for coaching, training of both their sales and their sales leadership teams.
Perfect, thank you, Simon. So obviously today's subject, as I mentioned, was all about using video in your sales process. Now, we all know there's been such a big shift in the last 12 months, and like I said earlier, I think will continue to be. So I press nice and simple, easy first question. How do we use video within your sales process effectively? Obviously, is important.
Yeah, it's good. It's an interesting one. I think one of the easiest things to do, because here's when we talk about video for having it as part of people's sales prospecting and in their sales cycle, this is about one-to-one videos rather than one-to-many videos. For example, making one for a LinkedIn feed. Is people get very quickly I would be nervous doing that. I would worry about doing that. And I always ask people, well, go back 18 months. Somebody said to you, you're going to conduct all of your sales meetings on Zoom. Same response. I'm nervous about it. I don't want to do it. I'm much more comfortable face to face. So people have overcome that. So a lot of this is around mindset and how they see it. But then it's as we go forward, we're not going back to where we were. Technology's come too far too quickly. So, a lot of our clients and in Sandler, we've been using video technology in that one-to-one part of our prospecting and our sales process side of things.
Yeah, and I think one of the things with that, Simon, is that I think it was maybe seen as a bad alternative, should we say, to face-to-face meetings before. If you offered someone a video rather than a face-to-face, it was a bit of an insult as much as anything else. Or you can't be bothered to get in your car and come and see me type of a thing. And obviously that is changed by force, I guess, in the last 12 months. But I think, again, that is probably the biggest change that we'll have as we move forward. It won't ever be seen as the poor relation anymore. It will be seen as part of what we do. Would you agree?
Yeah, very, very much so. I think the sharp companies, the CEOs, the owners out there, the salespeople out there who are the top of their game are looking and saying, okay, how do we bake the two together? It's not one or the other. Before, I think it was either one or the other. I don't think it's as easy as saying, well, we will always just do video and remote. But how do we complement the two together? And, one example is just from a perspective of, we can look in 5 different areas, Michael, but if we look at, if you're going to go and meet somebody face to face that you've never met before, and you're meeting also maybe 2 of their team that you've never met before, we have short memory, don't we? How difficult sometimes is the first 5-10 minutes of that meeting. It can be awkward. Shooting them a video, a 2-minute video before you get together to say, I'm looking forward to our meeting. This is what I understand the agenda of the meeting is. If I've missed anything, can you drop me something back? This is what I'd like to cover. These are the outcomes that we're moving towards. This is the time we're going to spend. From that perspective, the relationship, the bonding and rapport has already begun. And you can ask them, could you forward that to your colleagues so that they can also, drop in things that they want to put in their agenda. So instead of being one or the other, what we're doing is we're using video to build on whatever we're also going to use post-lockdown.
No, absolutely. And it's how it fits around, as you said, isn't it, with what you do now. It's not a, right, we're only using Zoom and not going to use anything else type of scenario. There will be scenarios where both in-person and video work. But as you said, it's not just about the meeting or the discussion or the event, if you want to take it on a bigger scale. It's everything that goes around that. So I guess and you kind of touched on it there, in a kind of an introductory video before a meeting, to use that. Any other kind of areas that you've seen work really well for businesses?
Yeah, I think if we go back to the dreaded prospecting, and we know that it's always one of the most challenging parts. Businesses come to us. It's one of 2 things they often start out with, but one of them is we want to get in front of more new on target opportunities. And I mean, you're the master at networking, Mike. You've grown a great networking group. One of the things we found, and this will go back to live networking, we know that will happen, but one of the things we found with the virtual networking is at the end of that meeting, and you always say the networking starts when the meeting ends. So to drop somebody a 30-second video, 45-second video to say, I enjoyed listening to your introduction today. Sorry we didn't get a chance to chat. Would be nice to connect. If you think, some people have this 15 or 20 messages they'll email at the end of that meeting. So each person there is getting lots of messages, lots of emails saying, can we have a one-to-one? If you're the only person who sent a video, you're breaking through and you're cutting through. So prospecting is one area from if you think about it from a networking perspective. But there's so many different areas of prospecting, and in our research across Sandler, where you look at the average CEO, and of course we're talking about slightly bigger companies here, but the average CEO receives somewhere between 400 and 500 emails a day. We know since COVID started, salespeople are sending 100% more emails than they were sending pre-COVID. Right. So everybody's inbox is jammed full of email. But when we ask CEOs, how many video messages, one-to-one video messages are you receiving with something like this? So on the front of the video, when they received it, it would look like that. So it's for you. This isn't a spam email. They would say something like, I get 1 to 3 video messages a year. About that compared to the number they're receiving a day. So it's very simple to see. It's not a silver bullet. It doesn't work every time. But how easy it is to cut through. Yes, you've got to craft the right message. We're not getting on that video and going, you should buy from me because we're the best, the cheapest, the longest in business. We have to craft the right messages. But it's a really great vehicle to cut through the noise that we're currently seeing out there for prospecting.
Absolutely. And is the element that video, one of the benefits of video over, say, an email or telephone or whatever it might be, is that it feels people can build trust quite quickly. And one of the big elements of sales, as we know, is feeling to be trusted. It's an important part. And if you are using that and people can see your face, we talk a lot about personal branding, don't we? And whether it's business or whatever at the moment. So does video can really enhance that, I would imagine, for salespeople.
Yeah, you're spot on, Mike. Absolutely spot on. I can make if I send an email, if you think about what we call the communication pie, 3 elements of communication. There's the spoken word, there's tonality, and there's body language. They're the 3 areas we build trust, if you like, from a communication perspective. In an email, How many of those do I get to use or communicate with my prospect? Words, tonality, body language. It's just words, right? And if you've ever, I don't know, if you've ever sent a bunch of flowers to your other half, and you've sent a message saying I love you, and she's picking the flowers up and saying, what have you done? You lose the communication in the message somewhere. And on an email, we've all sent an email where people have said that's out of order, and you say, no, that's not what I meant. With a video, we get to use words, tonality, body language, and in addition, things that build trust. Like, I can make a mistake on a video, but I don't have to stop and start again. This isn't about perfect. I can stutter, I can mess up a word. It's okay. And actually, you're showing some vulnerability, which shows you're a human being. You're building more trust. So the like and trust thing is, you're spot on, Mike. Is huge with video. Yeah,
and I think video just in general, in all means, I think, like I said, we know it's accelerated in the last 12 months for obvious reasons, but it's just, I think, unless people really integrate into what they do, they're going to left behind potentially by other people as well. It could be just let's say using Zoom as kind of the first basic point. It might be doing stuff like this that we're doing now, like live videos, which is maybe another level up from that. But then it's kind of the stuff you're talking about there is maybe then another level up from that is those introductory emails or whatever, videos, whatever it might be. So what kind of other, I guess, tips and ideas would you have for people around what they can do that can just make a real difference?
But another one is, if I stay on prospect for a moment, you can have fun with it. You can't have fun with an email, really. You can really have fun. And one example that springs to mind is a video that was made where the salesperson ordered a package from the company they were targeting. The salesperson's a packaging company.
Yeah.
When they received the package, they videoed them opening it, and they picked up on things like the ease or difficulty of unpacking, how much packaging they were using. It was all about environmentally friendly that both companies were having an angle on. And then they just did something as simple as they rolled out all the packaging in a line on the floor. And then they said, if we were to do that, and they rolled out the amount of packaging they would use, and of course it was the third of the length. And his message was simply, if you'd like to find out how we do that, just jump on a call. And with making these videos, below your video, you have a link that's a link directly to your calendar. So it makes it easy for the prospect to jump on. And so little simple things that you can have really fun. You can be really targeted, because video is about being personal, with maybe your top 50 prospects, and get really clever and start to think, well, how different would my life be if I could get a conversation with my top 50 prospects in my sector? How would that change my world? And video's not the only, but one way of doing that.
Absolutely. And one of the other things I think which maybe might surprise people from my experience is actually the time it can save you. Is whilst it feels like actually an email should be quicker, I'm sure every one of us has always done it where we read an email, write it again, change things, go back, and it takes us however long it does to make sure we've got everything right in that. To do a 90-second video takes 90 seconds pretty much. And like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be polished and edited within an inch of its life. It just has to be real. And actually, it can save you a lot of time. If you use the right tools. Would you agree with that?
I'm so glad you brought that up. It's one of the big feedbacks we get from clients is, to start with, before they've done it, they're convinced that this will take longer. So many don't even try it. When they've done it, they come back and they say, look, 90 seconds video. And actually, I enjoy making the videos. That's one of the big surprises, that they enjoy it versus sitting there. If you think about the typical DNA of a salesperson, they like to be with people. They like to talk to people. You don't hire them for their computer skills. And yet the amount of time they spend typing emails, retyping, spell checking, all those things that they think is a 2-minute email becomes a 30-minute job. I promise you it's a 30-minute job when you've got that prospect who you're scared and nervous and worried that you're going to write the wrong thing. You're right, 90-second video max, 60 seconds better.
Absolutely, and you can make the process really slick as well, can't you? So you might have, I like most people, there's a certain amount of links that you send after a meeting or whatever it might, or documents. Have all those ready that, you know, by default you can send along with a video, and yeah, rather than a half an hour, 45-minute follow-up email, a 90-second video and a few attachments or a few links, 5 minutes, 10 minutes top, you know, it adds up, doesn't it, if you're doing that quite a lot?
Well, it does. You know, you can, you know, we have template emails. You have not a template video, but you know what you're going to say after you've done this a few times. But I think one of the things you dropped in there, Mike, was, you know, when you get to the end of a meeting, suppose you're in a longer sales cycle and there's going to be multiple people involved in that. Sometimes the person who is in that meeting to start with has got to go and communicate with the rest of the team that maybe Bob and Jane should come to the second meeting. But she's got to sell that to them. Why is it important for them to give up their time to meet with Mike, to have a look at what he's got to show? Rather than putting stress on that prospect, you can say, look, would it help if I made a 2-minute video that recaps what we talked about today, that you can share with them, and then you can just color in with your words, whatever you think. So now you're taking a lot of stress and worry off their plate. You're kind of becoming partners with them. But if you think about the two people that she's talking to, now you're not meeting them, but they're meeting you.
Yeah.
And what we find is what we call it walking the hallways. If you think about pre-COVID, we used to walk down the hallway of a company, and you might, as you're walking out with a prospect, you might bump into the CEO or to the head of operations, and there's a quick introduction. You can walk the halls with a video, because what you can see on the data, the stats, is how many people have opened that video. So now you start to realize that maybe you met 3 people, but you've met, or 50 people in that company have met you. They know who you are. So it's very powerful from that perspective.
I guess as well, what you're doing there, you're making it easier for people to buy from you, because we all know that, you know, you meet the 3 people using that example, they're all going to have to feed back and, as you quite rightly said, do all that kind of stuff. If you're making their life really, really simple by just pressing forward in an email or send a link or however way it comes, you're making it a lot easier for them to buy from you than they are from maybe somebody who has to go and do a half an hour long meeting to tell them what someone else has told them.
Yeah, exactly, spot on. In 2 minutes, we know our stuff, don't we? They don't know. They're not supposed to know. That's not their job. That's hard for them. So yeah, you're making it easy for people to buy, and you're taking stress out of their world as well. They're starting to think, if I work with this person, subconsciously, it's going to be easier than if I work with the competitor. Everything seems to be a bit more difficult, a bit more time consuming. I'd rather. So you're absolutely right. We're just making it easy to buy from people.
Makes sense. No, so I guess the title obviously is video is 5 ways to use video in your sales process. Is there any things that we haven't covered that you can think would be really useful for people to have a think about at least?
Yeah, I think what we covered. So we covered, one is prospecting. I think the second is sharing the before you meet the prospect, sharing what the meeting's going to be about, what we call an upfront contract in Sandler, but just sharing the agenda and the expectations for the meeting is the second one. A third one then is if it were just you and I, let me just drop you a little recap of the meeting. So as a recap. The fourth one is the missing persons, which we just talked about. Sometimes there's going to be more people involved, or maybe Jane couldn't make it for whatever reason. There's the missing persons. And then the last one is what we call the close the file email. So you might send something like that. So maybe we had a meeting, we thought it went well, but now I've not been able to get hold of you. So rather than do it as an email, I can just send you a simple, very human message that says, Mike, we had a meeting, but I'm guessing that, you know, you've for whatever reason, you've now got zero interest in us carrying on with this. Would it make sense if I just close the file?
Interesting.
In a very, very human way. Now I'm not chasing you. My process is finished now. And you've got to decide whether it's time for you. And then just the final kind of bonus, Michael, I guess, is there's 5 ways. But I probably ask your audience, how many different ways do you think you might use video? So 2 examples of this week. One of my clients closed her first deal. So I sent her a 30-second video saying, congratulations. One of my clients was 40 this week. So I sent a quick message. We communicate, and they start to do it back so much more, and we save so much time, because the human way, as you said, trust and like through video as opposed to the written word, which we're all exhausted by.
I think, just generally around video, I think it's really interesting that in the last year, because obviously we've been kind of forced down this route, actually maybe a lot of us have connected on more of a human level than we actually used to do before. Because, and I think one of the factors, essentially, part of that is we've kind of brought people into our homes, essentially, because most of us have been at home, so they've kind of felt like, but I think also people feel a bit more relaxed now on video as well. So again, it's just being more human, having conversations on a one-to-one level. I personally know I've had more in the last year than I've done ever before in other years. So I think there's such an opportunity with it, and it was an opportunity we had before. We just chose not to do it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But now so many people are feeling confident with it that let's use it. It's such an advantage. It's so many benefits that you can bring. So I think it's some great ideas there, and fairly simple stuff. It's not it's not difficult things for people to implement, is it?
No, it's not. And one question we get is how do I do it? What do I use? I use a platform called Vidyard, which you can put into your email after if you like, but Vidyard. There's one called Co-Video. There's one called BombBomb. I think they're the 3 main players. I like Vidyard for my own reasons, but I'm no preference whichever way people go. But there's really simple platforms that, as you say, flip up your computer, press record, quick message, go back to work. It's done. It's very simple, but it's very personal.
I think that's great, Simon. Thank you so much. And I think definitely I'm sure a lot of people just something to think about, and including myself, which is good. So if anyone wants to get hold of you, Simon, find out a bit more about what you do in general, where's the best places to do so?
Well, they can LinkedIn, Simon Darlaston, Simon.Darlaston, as you can see on the screen there, at Sandler.com by email. Send me a video. It would be great to have a little look at it. And I think one of the things is that with using something for the first time, if anybody wanted to send me a video to say, look, this is my 30-second commercial, I'm going networking next week with Northern Affinity, can you have a quick look and comment on it? If anybody from this wants to do that, then I'd be happy to have a little look at it, give them some thought and feedback. Happy to do that.
That's brilliant. Maybe that's the future of networking. We'll all just do 30-second videos and open them at our own pleasure. Who knows?
I think you're safe there. I'm not sure that's going to happen.
It kind of takes away the interaction, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. This is there as an add-on, not as a replacement.
Absolutely, Simon. No, thank you very much for your time. And if anyone, for whatever, I'm sure you can find Simon, but if you can't, feel free to come to us, and we have all Simon's details as well. So you can find us through that. So yes, thank you very much, Simon. For anyone watching this video, we'll put it on our YouTube channel to rewatch if you want to have a look at the thing, and it'll go on various different social media platforms. As I mentioned, if you are watching this on demand at any particular time, please do ask the questions later, and I'm sure Simon will be happy to answer that. Or as he's just said there, send him a video. I'm sure he'll be happy to receive that. So yeah, thank you again, Simon.
Pleasure. Nice talking to you. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you everyone for watching. Have a good day.